You are wondering if you need a financial advisor? Well, after this video, you will hopefully have the answer to that question. And you will also know some alternatives for financial advisors so that you know what to do instead if you decide against one. And if you decide to hire one, in which cases you should do that, and also what requirements this person should have. So let's get started. I think the best way to do this is to go through different reasons you might have to take a financial advisor. Now, I do assume that you want to take care of your personal finances, which is very good. If you feel like you are missing the knowledge and the confidence to do anything about your personal finances yourself, I think that's not a good enough reason to take a financial advisor. And this will also be my first warning, one of several throughout this video. A financial advisor is not a substitute for a lack of financial knowledge, because it will not fix the problem of financial illiteracy. There is a minimum of things you have to do yourself. That includes knowing your numbers, like your income, your expenses, your net worth, and your debt. That also includes setting financial goals. I mean, only you can know what you want and also should decide what's the best goals for you. And you also need to know the basics of the different investments or the different assets and what costs and also what risks they involve. So the more you know about all of this, the better you can choose a financial advisor for you. And the less you know, the more you run the risk of ending up with someone who doesn't get the most out of it for you and maybe even takes advantage of your wealth. So once you have established that, you can get more clear on what you need, because maybe you want the financial advisor only to do something very specific. Now for that, let's take a look at what a financial advisor actually does. So they do financial planning, which is deciding and planning on what to do with your money. They do investment management, so they make the actual investments for you and also adapt the strategy from time to your needs. Those needs can be your financial goals or your circumstances, maybe also the market conditions. They also can do retirement planning, so securing an income for your retirement. They can do tax and estate planning, making tax optimized decisions, and also what happens to your money and your wealth and your assets after you die. And financial advisors also might help their clients when it comes to behavioral biases in investing. But there's a caveat, and I will get back to that in a minute. That is a general overview. There are financial advisors that you see only once, then there are the ones that accompany you over years and decades. Then some of them do the whole thing, so everything I just mentioned, and others are also specialized in one field. And I think this is the first important question you have to ask yourself. What is it that you actually want from them? And what is important to you? Maybe you only need someone to take care of your taxes. Then is it maybe enough to take on a tax advisor? If you have a strategy, for example an investment strategy in your mind, and you want to discuss it with someone, is it maybe just enough to get a second opinion and talk to someone and get your strategy confirmed, while at the end of it you're still doing the whole thing by yourself? If it's about real estate or home ownership, then you might consider taking on someone who is specialized in this and who knows about all the trends and the hacks and the mortgage options and the down payment strategies and so on. And regarding financial planning and investment management, do you really need someone to do that for you? Or is it maybe enough to take financial online courses and read some books? Or take on a financial coach that is someone who does it with you and gives you the tools and also the knowledge to do it yourself. And then you put the work in once and you set the whole thing up once, and after that it's pretty much automated anyway. So all of that also depends on your individual situation, like for example your streams of income and your net worth. So for example, if it's about investing and you are employed and you have one main source of income and your net worth is less than $100,000, and you want to start investing to let your money work for you, I think you should consider to just doing it yourself, because if you do it right, it will be the cheapest version of all and also the one with the best return. Alternatively, in this scenario, you could also go with a robo-advisor. They still have fees, but they will be lower than the actual people. And that brings me also to warning number 2, which is financial advisors are expensive. And that's because it's their job. I mean, they have to live off something. And especially if you think, oh, it seems like they're doing it for free, you are mistaken. You will pay them one way or another. So let's take this opportunity to look at some different kinds of payments. So we do have a commission-based payment. That is when they earn a commission on the products that they sell. And the risk here is that they sell products that pay them well, but that are not most beneficial for you. Then there is the fee-based payment. That is when you pay them per hour, or you pay a flat rate, for example, in form of a retainer fee. So you pay them on a regular basis to get access to their advice and also their services. Now, in my eyes, this is the most transparent and also neutral one, because they don't have so much conflict of interest when it comes to investments. But the downside is they are not incentivized. Of course, we do want to assume that everyone does their best all the time and that the financial advisor has your your best interest at heart. And don't get me wrong, getting clients and keeping them happy can be incentive enough. With that said, I want to quote someone who I recently talked to in the service business. Well, you know, if people come in or not, I get paid either way. So this is something you can at least keep in the back of your mind. Another form of payment is percentage of AUM, which is assets under management. That means they get a percentage, most of the time it's around 1%, of all the money or the wealth that they manage from you. Now the good thing here is they do have an incentive, because when they grow their portfolio, they will also earn more for themselves. And growing the portfolio is also good for you, so both of your interests are aligned. The not so good thing here is that the percentage makes it expensive, because it reduces your return. And even with an average of 1%, that is still way more than you would pay for an index fund. And also, and this is warning number 3, their risk behavior flows into the investment strategy. And this goes both ways. Either they want to take on more risk because they feel confident or they want to make more profit, or they are more risk averse than you and they influence you in your decisions, and by that lower your returns even more. So you have less return in general and also the costs on top. So it's really important who you choose here. And the same applies for behavioral biases. And now I come back from before. I think you can reduce biased actions, and that is by being aware of cognitive biases, by sticking with the long-term strategy. And I think a financial advisor can definitely help with that. At the same time, the financial advisor is also just a person. And in some ways, they will be biased too. And then this also kind of flows into the investment strategy. And that is something to keep in mind. Then there are also performance-based fees. And that is when they charge a fee based on the performance of the portfolio. If they, for example, only charge a fee for growth, then this definitely sets an incentive and it's a win-win. Of course, the risk behavior then still applies. And also, I'm not sure how many really do only this kind of payment. Overall, it's important that you take a very close look at how they get paid and if the way that get paid aligns with your expectations. I want to make another note when it comes to investments, and that is over 80% of fund managers of mutual funds don't outperform the market, outperform as in do better than the market itself, and neither most probably will financial advisors. So to invest in a well-diversified index fund will probably give you the best return at the lowest cost. When it comes to specific financial goals, we already talked about taxes, real estate, and investing. Depending on what's most pressing in your situation, you can also find someone who does, for example, debt management or retirement planning. And if it's several of those, you can even consider taking on several. You would have to run some numbers though. For the managing everything option, I think you can consider it if you have a very complex financial situation. And that is, for example, for people who have a huge net worth. A complex financial situation is also given with business owners. So having a business adds this layer of complication. Also for multinational families. So if you and your relatives live in different countries, it can really help with financial and especially tax planning across borders. And another scenario are major life events. For example, when you marry or you have children or you get a divorce. In this case, hopefully you made a prenup, or you're planning to retire soon, or an inheritance comes through, things like that. In my personal opinion, in those scenarios, because it's a very time-bound scenario, it can make sense to just make one appointment to discuss all of this and what are the options, or to get help with the transition. So to take on a financial advisor for several weeks or several months until all of this is through. In general, I would say the less complex your personal situation, the less you benefit from a financial advisor. I would also say the better your knowledge, the more beneficial it is for you to either just doing it yourself, or then at least be able to choose the best financial advisor for your specific situation. One possible option could be that you set yourself a certain threshold. For example, you invest everything yourself up to $500,000 net worth, or 1 million or 2 million, and after that you take on a financial advisor. And by then you will already have so much knowledge and experience that you will probably spot right away if someone is good or not so good for what you need. And there is also one other scenario where I think a financial advisor can be beneficial, and that is if you or a person in general really wouldn't do anything about their finances, not look at the numbers, not save anything, not invest anything, then I think really even the worst financial advisor who takes a big chunk of your money can be helpful if he gets you to save at least something and invest at least something that otherwise you wouldn't have because you would have spent it all. I don't think that's you, because then you probably wouldn't have clicked on this video. If you decide to hire a financial advisor, I think there are a few important things to look at. You can even pose them as questions to them. And one of them is definitely, what is his or her net worth. Because you really should not get advice from someone who is not already there where you want to be in, like, I don't know, 1 or 5 or 10 or 20 years, let alone someone whose wealth is maybe less than yours at the moment. Then also, how does he or she invest their own money? Do they buy the products they sell for themselves? If they advise you on real estate, do they have real estate on their own? Then another question we already talked about is, how do they make money? How do they get paid by you? To understand this is important for you because it will give you a hint on how they think and if it's aligned with your values and what you want for your investments or whatever you're reaching out for. And also, if you ask them and they are very transparent about it, that can be a good sign that you can trust them. I would also ask what other clients they have and what circumstances they are in. For example, if they have many other clients with a mid-income and a lot of debt, but you have a high income and a 6-figure net worth, then I would probably say that's not a good fit because they don't have experience with your personal situation. And you can also ask what education they have and what credentials. This can give you a hint. I wouldn't fully rely on it, because someone can have all the degrees in the world and still not reflect their knowledge in their bank account or their portfolio. And then their degrees don't do you good, nor does it them. So yeah, I think the other questions are more important, which is why I put this one in the end. Either way, in case you want to take matters into your own hands first, I recommend this video next, where I explain how to start investing. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. Have a good rest of your day, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.